We partnered up with the best mills and the best garment maker I met through my years to like establish that foundation. And then you need to take a position. We believe that you need to take a position where you can where you don't compromise on your ideas. So I would say that we are the first brand I've heard of until today that has 100% of the cotton we use in our core fabric is from Italy and Spain. It's grown in Europe. So we have been able to reach a durability level which is 30% higher than organic. But there is also a concern today because regulations constantly change. So you don't want to be throwing out too much numbers and being out there because you also know that that's what attracts some media. That's where you can fail if there's something in your communication which might not be legit. Consumption is a big problem today. And that's why we also initiated the one segment in Madh, which is where we produce on demand. We produce product based on when the customer wants the product. If we don't get any orders of the vintage wash here, or no one used, like you can go to details. If no one used that badge that says like, of course we will take it away. It's most of these products here, if it's produced, it's dead stock things. Some we produce 10, some we do very small production of them. You can scroll down. For the patches, it's leftover fabrics that is from production or from mills. So this will be a constant update of as a toolbox, depending on what people like and what they don't like. You can go and you don't find your 36-inch because you're a tall girl, and nowadays that's not the sizes that these stores can keep in the back room. They don't have the space. They cannot do the investment. So here you can go from 28-inch inseam up to 36. And this is a part where I think it becomes really, really interesting as commercial. I mean, you can just get your customized product like this, nothing crazy, click, and within a week you have it at home. Actually started in Borås at Textile University, where I studied textile and design, and did my internship at Acne. At that time, small company through 2003. I didn't start at the jeans and the denim department, but ended up there and ended up getting a job after I graduated. So worked as an assistant, design assistant, product development, went out to the factories. After that, I went to the Varney Group in Norway, and I worked with them creating in-house brands, everything involved with branding and the product itself, design. Did that for a couple of years, and the last project I worked on with them was the sourcing part on denim, setting up this strategy for cross brands, creating sustainable setup when it comes to fabrics, suppliers. So yeah, that's about 2003 to 2019, and for the last years I've been developing the platform for Madh, and also doing a part consultancy.
I'm curious about, like, there's no shortage of denim brands on the market. I at least I can count quite few of them, and I'm just wondering, like, what made you want to start one more brand, and how do you think about the positioning of that brand and the products in the
Yeah,
landscape of all of the denim brands?
you need to, of course. I mean, you need to start with the product. Luckily, that's been my the love for jeans is the product, is the fabrics it comes with the development behind it. So starting with that, we partnered up with the best mills and the best garment maker I met through my years to like establish that foundation. And then you need to take a position. We believe that you need to take a position where you can where you don't compromise on your ideas when
Mm,
it comes to the design, what kind of product, where you want it to be produced. If you use Italian denim like we do, there is a certain, all of a sudden you end up in a segment, in a premium segment when it comes to retail. And
mm,
that was important for us, not only when it comes to traceability and creating a responsible product, it's also about the quality. um I also were studying the market for quite some time, both from brand side but also from retail, and it's such a tough competition in let's say a premium lower segment. If we talk about around 100 euros, it's a lot
mm.
of competition on discounts, and it's a lot of products which maybe not always have how should I say it, the best possibility to trace the product or be able to work with the highest quality fabric. So in the
Yeah,
end, we all these elements together puts us in a position where we found that this is the match, this is the position we want to be in. It's a premium luxury level where we can stand behind the product, we can deliver on those all those things I mentioned when it comes to
yeah.
sustainability, quality, design, and produce everything in Europe.
Do you think that to not put the transparency and the sustainability efforts in front of the consumer is strategically because they're not persuading enough the sales, or is it because there are other key components to the positioning that is, yeah, that you rather put in front?
Yeah, I think it's the second for us. We need to put our brand or our talk about the product first, and we will always be clear and show information that we have control. I think it's a lot about control today, to show your clients that this is a company that has control over their supply chain. They know where their products comes from, and that's the part of transparency. But f- entering a market, we need to put brand first,
Mm.
to show that that's our strength. We are not here to be a sustainable jeans brand as our tagline. I mean, to
No,
be able to exist as a denim brand in this market, you will need to be ticking all those boxes and be leading. Otherwise, you will lose from the first day.
exactly. Just to help me orient myself within this landscape of denim and denim brands,
Mm,
there are a couple everyone knows about, like Levi's and so on. And but, to me, that would be like a mass market brand, right? Maybe you would agree or not. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so in order to help me orient myself, compared to Levi's, for example, what is the difference? If I understand you correctly, the key point is the product quality, the product, so to say. How does it actually differ from a brand like Levi's or on that category?
You can buy fabrics all brands can end up using the exact same fabrics. Um, but there are a couple mills that very few of the mass market brands can afford to work with, because they use a different dyeing method. They're produced firstly in Turkey or Italy.
Mm.
Um, if we talk about Europe, I mean, Japan denim is a different story with the selvage and all that. But if we talk about the European and the Asian um, denim, um, the fabric is what is a starting point that gives you the price, and what will define if it's a premium luxury product. And it today it has a lot to do with the process, how it's done, what kind of fiber they use, because there's different quality levels on the cotton.
To what extent do you consider the material composition to choose for your jeans during the design phase, compared to the shape and form and the visual appearance, so to say?
For us, that was key. And what what we have done is to create our own fabric. We built it together with Candiani in Italy, and we wanted to create something that was truly unique. So then you start with the fiber, start with what
Hmm.
kind of cotton would you like. I mean, there's different versions of organic, there's different versions of recycled. And we wanted something which is unique. We wanted to see if we can only use cotton that's grown in Europe. So I would say that we are the first brand I've heard of until today
Hmm.
that has 100% of the cotton we use in our core fabric is from Italy and Spain. It's grown in Europe. So of course, if you have that quality request, or if you have that as your first demand on it, it will requires a different quality, and it is a different price point. And then Candiani, when it comes to their dyeing process, it's also different. They use different dye stuff. It's also a bit more expensive than a couple of others. It's produced in Italy. And then we also wanted one part which is recycled cotton
Hmm.
into it as well. So it's kind of to put together like a recipe, where you find a level in which levels of the ingredients can be combined to get the best performing product when it comes to how it looks, but also durability was the final part that was key for us. So we have been able to reach a durability level which is 30% higher than organic.
Uh, Very interesting. I have a couple of follow-up questions on this one. So,
Mm.
you said 30% more durable than traditionally, so to say, mixes. And how do you measure that? I mean, that would be interesting. Like, is it compared to a traditional jeans from Levi's that is 30% more durable? Like, what is the comparison? How do you compare? And this, and following that up is, it sounds amazing. How do you
Mm.
use this KPI in the positioning work towards the consumer in marketing and so on? Uh, and third, sorry, three
Mm.
questions at once. And I, as a consumer,
Mm.
will I actually notice that it is more durable? Is that something I can feel, touch, or is it for, I don't want to say geeks, nerds of denim like yourself that can really appreciate that level, so to say?
I think that durability has become very interesting for us, because that's where denim comes from. I wouldn't say that I'm that typical, or we want to be we want to take denim and jeans to a new, creating a new reality for denim. That's that what we're saying. So I mean, there's a heritage and there's a history with denim which is very, it's beautiful. And I used to like the old stuff, and that's how I learned the product and how it's produced. But I also, there's so many brands that does that in in perfection, and the raw jeans and with the selvage, and you wear them in. But a lot of the products that are sold and how jeans have changed over time is more about fast fashion product,
Mm.
and that concerns me. Like, we used to 20 years ago, I think a 501, a pair of 501 was like 89, 90 in Sweden.
Mm.
And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, don't take me on the digits here, but today I think it's like 79, 90.
Mm.
And that it's, without talking about Levi's, you can talk about any brand. It's been it's a different competition out there, and jeans has been advertised as a product where you can get people to go into your shop and buy. If you do that for 990, we can win a lot of customers just getting here. It's like an opening
Mm.
sale product. So I think that's concerning, and also that, of course, you have been compromising a lot on quality. So the product itself that is known for being a part of your wardrobe for decades, it's now we look at it in a different way. So I think that it's important to go back to treating the product. Not, I'm not talking about maintain washing and all that, but as a starting point when you design it, if we can go back and communicate a bit about how durable jeans as a product is.
If you don't have to replace a product, that's of course always the best. But how do you then market that capability or property? Can you say this is more durable or this is X times more durable? Can you give any guarantees? How do you put it into the face of the consumers?
No, and I think that thanks for reminding. I mean, it's independent laboratories that do those tests, and we can do that on fiber level, and of course, then you do it on yarn level, and you can do it on fabric level, and the studies we have seen, it's compared to an average data which is out there on an organic cotton. This
Mm.
product with the blue seed fiber that we use is ending up more durable. And we
What's a blue seed? What's a blue
blue
seed?
seed is
Sorry, you
it's a
mentioned.
trade. It's the name of the regenerative cotton that we can that is grown in Europe that we use in our product, and it's named blue seed. Um, so
Interesting.
we don't intend to use it and throw it um, as a marketing or communicate, more than to bring up the communication around jeans, that it's a product which is durable. We in Madh, we develop and we build fabrics together with the best to make sure that you can feel comfortable wearing this for a very long time. That's the main intention,
Mm.
to give them an idea that they know quality. You can expect a product that will live long. That's our intention, to get communication around it. We don't intend to say that this will be this pant will last 2 years longer than our competitors. But if you treat that product good, we also think that there's very few clothing garments today where
Mm.
you give it the value in the way that we used to do. Like, you still see that in secondhand stores, jeans has a good um, secondhand value, and I
Mm.
think that movement now with secondhand is amazing, because we take care about products that are that has a true value, and it you can
Mm.
have it for generations. That's unfortunately we wash them. That's the biggest challenge in domestic wash. That's where we create uh, the biggest environmental impact due to the fact that we wash too often, and over time that also tears the product. So that's a
Oh,
communication that needs to um, come up and be discussed much more, that jeans doesn't need to be washed, and it's not with that previous raw jeans trend that you should wear them in. I mean, that's a beautiful part, that's a reason why you don't need to wash them, but often we just wash them to in the same way as a t-shirt or underwear. I mean, there's
uh,
no need for that.
okay. So never washed or sometimes wash?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they get, if I mean, if you see that they are dirty, of course, wash them
Yeah, yeah,
inside
of
out.
course.
But often, you can just hang them outside, get them some fresh air.
Uh,
If you haven't
yeah,
if you haven't
exactly.
anything obvious.
Yeah, yeah. How do you think about fast fashion and people's need to express themselves? There is obviously some people that would like to
Mm,
look
mm,
different frequently, and not necessarily wear the same product, often, so to say. Um, how does that work with your perception of consumers? Do you think that this is a failure on the consumer, that they should stop requesting fast fashion, or is this a matter of regulations making it possible for, I guess, brands or retailers like Shein and so on to sell these extremely cheap, non-environmental friendly products? Like, yeah.
I mean, fast fashion. Of course, we have created something that I don't think there is not a need for that much new price products on weekly basis that the fast fashion retailers create. Not at all. I mean, if there wouldn't been as much new products, I think we would have seen much more individuality in
Mm,
people. People will be more creative. You will blend um, vintage products with, maybe you save up for something more high quality, and you keep that. If it's your grandfather's leather jacket, and you blend that in with some new cool accessories. I mean, people will become creative when
mhm.
you're limited as well.
Yeah. Do you think that this is a matter of perception and persuading the consumers from the brand's perspective, those that are on the side of quality, transparency, sustainability, that they need to be better at getting the message across? Or do you think that um, the playing field is somewhat skewed because of lack of regulations, labeling,
Mm,
or you know, uh, being able to measure? Because to be
mm,
honest, if I go into a Lager 157 store or H&M store, and look at a pair of jeans, especially if it's a brand that is really about jeans,
mm.
and they claim that we're lowering the prices because we can do it on more cost effective ways, so to say.
Yeah.
It's very hard as a consumer to understand, like, are I mean, is this true or not, and so on. So yeah, my question basically is, is it that you guys that are on the side of quality is not as effective as you could be, or is it a matter of regulation that needs to come in so that it's easier for you?
I think I wouldn't. In general, I'm not too fond of regulations, but when it comes to, let's take one example, like the latest EU regulation when it comes to what you can communicate on product level,
Mm.
and the new the new directions will be more that it's based on brand level, what you do as a company. I think that's a good regulation, because I think there has been a couple players out there that's been doing a few products where they marketing it and make stories about that being all their products. But there is also a concern today because regulations constantly change. So you don't want to be throwing out too much numbers and being out there, because you also know that that's what attracts some media.
Mm.
That's where you can fail if there's something in your communication which might not be legit. And that's why we also initiated the one segment in Madh, which is where we produce on demand. Um, we produce product based on when the customer wants the product, um, and I think that's one way of trying to bring up discussion to a different level, about overconsumption and also overproduction, because overproduction is the other part, which is such a big challenge to the environment.
And now that you're starting Mad from start, you don't have any legacy with you. What's your go-to market strategy when it comes to how to make your products available?
When building Mad as a fashion denim brand, we we made sure from start to be, how can we create the logistics behind it, to be flexible and without investing too much
Mm.
of a stock that becomes outdated too fast. So the foundation is to use build your brand around as few fabrics as possible. A fabric that has great variation, and that's what we did there, to invest and be able to have all the sizes. It's also quite an an logistic challenge to it. You need to have, it's like with shoes, you
Mm.
need to have a lot of space, and you need to have a lot of sizes to be able to have a good business.
Mm.
So taking that in consideration, when we built Mad, we realized that if we're going to get into the best stores there is, um, the library of denim stores that used to be there, they don't really exist anymore. There are very few left of them. So if we can find a way where we give them a secure core collection that we don't intend to change every
Mm.
season, they know that we have a long
Mm.
term strategy. And then if they can build newness about around the
Yep.
customization instead, uh, that will create less of an investment
Yep.
for the retailer. We can supply newness. They can sell product they don't have in stock, and that's the game changer.
Yeah. I think it sounds very exciting. It sounds also intuitively correct to have a base core line that the retailers can expect will be delivered. They can reserve the space. They know how much space, but then they can also sell stuff to those customers that want that little bit extra personalized, customized, without risking stock and risking their like loyal customer base that just wants something that they are aware of working. Would it be okay if we add just showcase a little bit of the lab or the configuration possibilities that you have because I think that makes it much more clear what you're talking about. So,
Of course, of course.
what we see here is basically your. I mean, maybe you can help me explain what it is and take us through briefly these different options of customizability, and maybe also tell us a bit more about the um, difficulties that existed by you know to address and to make this possible. So yeah, what are we seeing right now?
Yeah, I think. I mean, first now we you can pick the look you want. That we talk about the different looks. If it's women, unisex, or men.
Yeah,
And next step under this, as a subcategory, you have the fits.
yeah,
And looking at the men's fits here, we have three different fits, and it goes from a regular, and then you pick the hip, like you said, it's a bit more curved, and this is our loose. And that's also a way to just create, to show how it looks on the model, of course, and then you can start to create. And it's built mobile first, but let's say you are in the store now and they will have
mm,
these three fits on the rack or on the table. you
mm,
you try it out, because the fabric here, and the fabric in core is same, so it will be a reference for look, it will be a reference for
mm.
size, it will be a reference for quality, no matter if it's black or indigo. It's the same kind of shrinkage, it's the same weight. And
Yeah.
in the next step they
Can I
can pick.
just Martin, can I just
Yep.
ask regarding fit? You have three main fits here,
Yep.
and I've worked with brands that have.
Mm.
I mean, they have three different skinny fits, and then they have
Yeah.
three different regular fits, and I think the total they had like 15 fits.
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, it makes the choice much easier, but is it reasonable to only have three fits?
Good question. We did a lot of research before we launched this, and there is two or several reasons, but the main reason number one is that, um, as so many brands doing stretch jeans in good way, and when you customize a stretch product, uh, it doesn't look as nice when you do, if you
Mm,
do a hole or if you start to patch it, because the elastic thread come through it. So it's kind of a look, but it also has to do with consistency. These are 100% cotton, and it's
mm,
easier for us to deliver a product with quality consistency. So that's the main reason. And the second part is, um, we did a lot of study with our target group. We used a lot of the actually students from Amsterdam Fashion Institute. They have students coming from all over the world, different demands, different body types, and we ended up with, it's four fits in total. Three is unisex, and three works for women's, and three works for men. And we said we need to start somewhere. So regular is pretty, yeah, it's a straight one, not too loose. Hip is a
yeah,
bit more fitted over the hips, and then a bit
mm,
more narrow, and then loose would be the looser straight. So yeah, we want it to be, and not too much of fits from start to end up with too many options here, because there is enough options later on, and we believe that we
yeah.
will meet the biggest audience, or at least the biggest part of our target group, with those three
Mm.
fits.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because if you have three or four steps of configurations and you add one extra in one of the chains, the combinations starts exploding, I guess.
Exactly, Dennis. Exactly. Because then, if we would have had one stretch fabric that we need to have in blue and black,
Yeah,
then all of a sudden it's two more fabrics. So
yeah,
then we're up in four fabrics. Today, So just only there, it becomes more of a logistic, and then you have the shrinkage, which is different compared to, let's say, you have a size 32 in the rigid one. Then we
Yeah.
need to calculate different with the stretch one. So it's a lot of complicated parts behind the scenes onto this. So we decide this is the fabric we believe in. This is our core fabric that we built
Yeah.
80% of the core collection on. So let's focus on this, and it
Yeah.
also looks
Yeah.
nicer. So yeah, that's
It,
the
it,
reason.
yeah, especially makes personally my life so much easier to
Yeah.
choose. But how much of a business constraint is it because of the company size of Mad right now? Do you have plans on assuming that, let's say, you're 10 times bigger than now? Will you
Mm.
add one more fit? I'm just strategically, what's your thoughts here?
I think that time will tell if it fits, or if we move on, for example, to next step, because I think that's
Yep.
will be a good example. Or is it that people will demand more shades?
Mm,
Or is it in next step? If we go here, you can keep that one, yeah, and then we go to laser. Is it this that people will demand? Like,
mm,
do they want more options when it comes to, today we have three different option for the configurator here. You can also, if you double click on the jean, you will see it a bit more close.
mm,
Up to the right, you can see the backside, how it looks. Or, so, I mean, time will tell a bit, and that's the good part with building it with a narrow selection from start, and being working a lot with digital design, is that we are very flexible here on updating
yeah.
and adding things with very short notice. And we will also see what people look for. If no one uses, if we don't get any orders of uh, the vintage wash here, or no one use, like, you can go to details, if no one use that badge that says like, of course we'll take it away. It's most of these products here, if it's produced, it's dead stock things. Some we produce 10, some we do very small production of them. You can scroll down. um, for the patches, it's leftover fabrics that is from production or from mills. So this will be a constant update of, as a toolbox, depending on what people like and what they don't like. So i I think that over time, over a couple of years time, we will add at least one more fit. But yeah, I think this is one of the most interesting part and commercial part of it. Let's say you're a tall guy or a short girl, or and you tried your fit in the store. You don't. I mean, the customization part is an add-on. It's something that creates it's attraction. I think that the
Yep.
screen in the store will be an attraction and we see that when we do pop-ups. It's everyone from kids, which is, super young, that understands and plays with this.
Mm,
But in the end, it could be this that you end up with, that you can go and you don't find your 36-inch because you're a tall girl, and nowadays that's not the sizes that these stores can keep in
mm,
the back room. They don't have the space. They don't cannot do the investment. So here you can go from 28-inch inseam up to 36. And this is
yeah.
a part where I think it becomes really, really interesting as commercial. I mean, um,
Yeah.
you can just get your customized product like this, uh, nothing crazy, click,
Yeah.
and within a week you have it at home. And
Yeah.
both for the retailer and the customer, that's something we have realized, that it becomes more and more seldom that they can buy their 36-inch
Mm.
jeans nowadays.
Yeah. But that must also be a very good value proposition to the partners of yours, that they will never have to risk having to do sales or discounts just to get rid of your products, and they will never be out of stock, right? Like, they can always serve the customer, never risk getting overstocked.
Exactly, exactly,
but
and
but the compromise, the sacrifice though, is that the consumer will have to buy into the idea that I will have to wait, let's say, 2 weeks.
yeah, maximum. But and let's say instead, if they do a simple product, not simple, but more clean product like this, it take less time. A lot of badges, a lot of that will take up to 2 weeks. I would say that this is like 7 to 10 days, and to get your the reaction we have today is more than what they're surprised that it's only 7 to 10 days for a product like this. Um,
How
so
scalable is
you are
that?
right. You are right. I agree to you that that's what they have to. Uh, that's what they have to buy into. But more often, it's the upside that the store and the client see that they can find it
Mm,
today.
exactly. How scalable is this model? Let's say there would be a lot of people trying to order, and obviously it's not in the store stock. You will produce it on demand. uh,
Mm,
Someone will have to keep some stock somewhere, I assume.
yeah.
So or not, but if they don't, I guess it will also limit scalability. So how do you envision the scale, the size of Madh going, say, best case scenario in the future with this model?
I think that it's very scalable because it's due to our close connection with the supply chain. I
Mm,
mean, if this happens overnight, that all of a sudden we get 500 orders, of course that will be. Uh, if something explodes, it will be more of a challenge. But
mm,
we can separate this in different production lines. And when it comes to washings, we have 4 different shades, and those shades can be put together in a washing machine, because washing is
mm,
then the a bit of a bottleneck. But since they will be several products within the same shade, we can wash 20 or 50 at the time at the same time, even more.
mm,
So
mm.
um we've built it, and we also said that the day that will become a problem, it will be a very nice problem.
Yeah. Well, so
Mm.
what is the next milestone, like the next major milestone that you have
We're
ahead
doing
of
a
you?
couple of pop-ups this season, and we have a couple of in the negotiations now, and I think that will be the milestones which will be most interesting, that for people to see this in stores. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Amazing. And I, maybe to
Yeah.
wrap it up a little bit, where can one find Madh? Obviously, you have your web shop, right?
So until today, we do the online, and we are until today sold in Japan. For some reason, that's the market that picked up first, and we have a few stores there. Um, we will also be launching on a amazing online platform shortly, that I can give you update on later. You one of the biggest online players. But physical stores at the moment, we are negotiating with a few in Germany, some more in Japan. But where we are now, we don't we take market per market, and it's
Mm,
it the focus we decided to give from start has been, we find some good
yeah.
collaborators and partnerships in Germany, and we found some in Japan. So
All right. I mean, we're waiting, hopefully, for a store
yeah,
nearby. But in any case, I think it's very exciting that and I'll cross all my fingers that the business model works out, that we'll get a player, a brand in the business that shows a new way of dealing with wholesale, how to embed and unify the personalization aspect the way you showed it here. So I think that will be very interesting to keep an eye out for. And I wish the best of luck. And thank you so much for joining me and giving us a little bit of the insights that you've
Thank
accumulated.
you, Dennis. Thank you for opportunity to be here.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Cool.
See
See you
you.
soon, Martin.